Hey guys, welcome to the first of my curriculum videos for the year. I've never done this before, but I saw everyone else was doing it and I was getting some FOMO, so I figured I better do this too. Actually, we haven't done a whole lot for like curriculum stuff in the past. We still aren't going to do a ton, but I really enjoy seeing kind of like the different things and resources and tools that people are using. So I thought I would share what we're doing because maybe this will help someone else. So today I'm going to be talking about what my daughter, who is going into 6th grade, will be doing. And I'm doing these videos season by season because I am not very good, because we're very relaxed homeschoolers, like pushing the unschooling boundaries here. I'm not very good at deciding like, okay, in May of next year, we're going to learn about zebras or whatever. Like, I have no idea. I can kind of see where our interests are going for the next little while. And so that's how I'm going to do things. I'm kind of planning on doing a separate curriculum video for each kid throughout this next season. So this is going to be what I'm calling fall. I don't know how long fall is going to go, but we will probably go like September, October, November-ish. Yeah, so for my daughter this year, with grade 6 kind of happening here, I'm wanting her kind of to be a little bit more independent. So I am hopefully planning on making things a little more structured than I normally have done in the past. This is also going to be hard for me because I like to have a checklist and get lots of things done, but I also like flexibility. I don't like a ton of routine in my life, so it's more a question of like whether or not it's going to work for me. But I have a few different things that we've kind of talked about that I want her to do, that she wants to do, so let's just dive in. If you've been here for like any of the videos in the last few months, year, you'll know that one of the things we're going to continue is the line a day. So September will be a year since they have been, both of my kids have been keeping a line a day. It's just a simple little sentence, paragraph, picture of what happened the day before, and this is just going to be a memory keepsake. So definitely want to keep this going, especially since starting in September they're gonna be seeing what they did that day the year before. So that's when this actually gets really fun. Another thing that they're currently doing that they're going to continue is their reading journal. You guys, my daughter is going to have a huge update on what she read in the last couple months. So we did, I think beginning of July, was it only the beginning of July? She shared 40 some books that she'd read the 2 months before, and just yesterday, so apparently she's been slacking with her reading journal. Just yesterday she said she wrote down like 23 books that she's read in the last like 2 weeks. So if you guys are interested, I think we'll do another video soon. Well, maybe end of August, beginning of September, sharing another huge stack of books. Anyway, so I want her to keep track of what she's reading, just, I don't know, kind of for some discipline, kind of just to look back on, for me to look back on. Yeah, and when she gets overwhelmed, when she has like 23 books, I told her what I really care about is the author, the month you read it, and your star rating. You don't always have to write a ton of things about it. You don't have to have a huge review. I want a general idea of kind of each book. So we're going to be continuing that since she's reading so much. I think it'd be really cool to have records of that later in life. Next up, I guess I should say kind of how I want her to be a little bit more independent is I plan on writing her a weekly list and saying like, you need to do this 2 times and you need to do this once and needs to be done. And I'm good if she wants to do that all Monday morning and check everything off. That's fine with me. If she wants to spread it out throughout the week, that's fine with me. But I'm really hoping we can like actually get this stuff done in the time frame, like in the 1 week, and it doesn't have to be like something I'm always hounding her on or anything. So one of the things that I have recently created that I made for the fall is a Bible journal, and we've kind of done some Bible journaling before as a family, but now I feel like my kids are kind of getting to the point where they're splitting off, so they're kind of doing this differently this year. So what I made for my daughter is I've given her sections, Bible passages, and there's, I think it's 90 days, it might actually be like 88 or something, of different passages in the Bible that kind of have like some kind of story or something. So she's going to be giving each of these passages, she's going to read them first of all, she's going to give them a title and a summary, write a summary of what the passage is about. Then there's room for a praise request and a prayer item, because I want to make sure that she's actually like praying as well. And then there's a space for thoughts and questions that she has from the passage, and then she can draw a picture. I'm currently only planning on getting her to do this 2 times a week. I am very flexible. Like if we find that 2 times a week is too much or not enough, we will change that. This is kind of like what I'm going into the fall, like what my plan is going into the fall, but there might be lots of adjustments for sure. So she's going to be doing Bible, yeah, probably 2 days a week, at least to start. We are also doing a few different things together. One of the things my husband created is a Bible memory workbook thing. So he made one on Romans, and it has 10 verses / passages from Romans. And so we're gonna learn those together. So for each verse or passage, he has, I think, 6 or 7 different activities, and we're gonna do those together as a family, or at least the 2 older kids. So that's the plan for that as well. The other thing we're going to be doing together is Ancient Egypt. So Jared made a unit study that is Ancient Egypt, and it's set up very much like our Vikings unit. So there's stuff that the parent reads and then worksheets for the kids. And we made it a few less worksheets this time instead of as many as the Vikings unit because we found that was a little much. But that's just kind of like a history thing we're going to do. And there's also like, there's art, I think there's some math, obviously history, some geography, lots of different creative writing and stuff in there as well. And so I'm really looking forward to the Ancient Egypt unit because I like learning alongside them. So when we can do units like this together, I'm just like, yes, I get to learn as well. And then she's going to be continuing the creative writing and creative drawing journals that she started this summer. So there's different prompts for creative writing, all sorts of, I don't care if she does them in order, there's different lists you can make, there's different stories you can write. She loves creative writing, so if I see that she needs more of a push, I might get her some more resources for that as well. But I also want to make this fun. And then the same idea for the creative drawing journal as well. This is just kind of like for fun, push them out of their comfort zone a little bit so they're not like always drawing the same things, but it's just kind of a fun activity. So there's that one. Then for the first time, I'm going to try to be a little bit more formal with our math. We've never done anything formal with math before. I mean, sometimes we've bought a few different like little workbooks from like Costco and stuff because every now and then my kids like doing that kind of thing for a short little phase. But this year I'm going to try using Khan Academy. So I need to kind of do some testing, see where they're at. And I don't even know how this is necessarily going to work. This is free online math website really. So I know they can do some testing, see where they're at, and then they'll get different questions and problems to solve and tutorials and all sorts of things. So I'm curious. I've looked at the site, but I'm kind of a little bit overwhelmed myself. So I need to get my kids tested on there to kind of figure out where we need to start and then how I want them to do it. Do I just want them to do it online? Do I want them to write in a notebook? I'm not really sure yet, but we'll have to get my daughter tested. Her especially, I want her maybe trying to be a little bit more consistent with math. I mean, more consistent than nothing. So we could probably manage that. But it's not a huge goal of mine. It's just something that we're going to start this year and see where that goes. See how that works for us. Then another thing I'm going to get her to do is Theology. So this is kind of, I probably should have like separated this into some kind of order, but this is like Bible. So this is just Theology for kids. And this book has, I think each section is like 1 to 2 pages. So I just want her to read what it is, and then I'm going to give her a little notebook just to write a little summary or some questions or something like that. And then I also want her to look up the different passages of scripture just to get used to like flipping back and forth to different passages in her Bible and like getting to know her Bible better. So I'm going to, this one's an experiment. I don't know how this is going to work. We kind of started going over this, me reading this to the kids years ago. And we got pretty far, but now I feel like it's, once again, she's kind of at that point where she can like take this into her own hands and do a little bit of that. At the same time, I want to be there kind of like helping her and coaching her. So we'll see if this works well with her, just like reading it and then writing down a little summary or something, or if we need to adjust as we go along. And I'm currently thinking only doing this once a week, since I have her doing the Bible twice a week. And some of those passages of scripture are like fairly long. That's what I'm currently thinking. And then we also have an inventors unit that I'm going to get the kids to do. This will definitely be more up my son's alley, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get my daughter to do all of the inventors. The unit has 10 different inventors, and then you have to research them. And I know she'll like some of it, but I'm not sure if she'll like all of it. So we're gonna at least do some of that. And then I think the last thing, yeah, like the last thing I'm going to do is get her to keep a book of centuries. I have wanted to do this for myself for years and I haven't. So I'm hoping she can do it well, and then I can maybe do it alongside her. So a book of centuries, I think this is like a classical method of sorts. There's a couple different ways I've seen book of centuries set up, but pretty much it's like here's a time span. So the farther out you go kind of like every 100 years, and then as you get closer to the current time, you do every 10 years on a one-page spread. I'm hoping to either find one to print out or I will make my own, because I've seen it a couple different ways where sometimes they'll have a section for inventors and a section for writers and all that, and I'm a little too OCD, and if my like one section filled up and I needed to use other sections for the one thing, I'm not sure if I'm making any sense, that would really bother me. So I just want to make like one page that says like 1900 to 1910, and then we just fill in all sorts of different things that we've learned about this year that cover that time frame. And then we'll continue to use that book of centuries as the years go on, and then it will slowly fill. So the book of centuries is not like its own thing necessarily. It's just like, oh, I was learning about ancient Egypt and this happened in this time frame, so I'm gonna go to my book of centuries and just kind of like write that down, or draw a picture, or cut out a picture and kind of like label it, or whatever. I'm going to be really flexible with this. I just think it will be a good idea, because something I have always struggled with is just knowing when in history things took place, and my daughter is not that way naturally. She has a really good brain for history, which she must have got from her dad and not from me. But once again, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I think if she starts doing it, then I will make one, so then maybe that's why I'm getting her to do it. Homeschooling is really good for the mom as well. That's what I find. I've learned so much homeschooling, like probably more than I learned in my school education. So I think that covers all the things that I'm going to be getting her to do in the fall, the first few months of this school year. I'm curious if you have like great resources and things that you would recommend for like a 6th grader. In addition, there's also all those books that I'm kind of her free reads that I suggested she read. I did a whole video on that. I don't remember if there was like 17 books on the list or something like that. She's already read a good portion of those, but that will be like another part of it. That's what she'll write in her reading journal. And then there's just a whole lot of like interest-led time. She wants to do some cooking and baking, and so it's not something I'm like writing down on her schedule kind of thing, but it is something that I'm like keeping in the back of my mind, trying to get her to cook and bake more frequently. Mostly bake, actually. Oh, I did use my homeschool planner to kind of like reflect on last year and see what there's a section for a child interview. I asked my daughter what she wanted to learn about this next year, and so we do have a few things that we're not going to be doing in the fall that she has said she wants to do, but then I can do them later in the year. So I'm curious to see how this like seasonal planning works for me this year, because I've never done this before, but I'm really excited about it because it seems to work with my personality. So there you have it, guys, and thanks for watching.